Hi guys, and welcome back to Activity 3 of Biological Sciences for Year 10. In this unit what we're going to be looking at is the process of mitosis or meiosis. And basically both of these deal with the concept of cellular division. Okay, now what we're going to do is very briefly run through why we've got cellular division, what's it necessary for, and try and look at a distinction between mitosis and meiosis. Okay, now the first thing that we've got to understand is that during sexual reproduction we have something called sex cells. Now those sex cells are sperm and egg, or they could be pollen and eggs if you're dealing with flowering plants. Now as I said to you earlier, basically what we're going to have is we have pairs of chromosomes. Pairs, two individuals. So that's why we've got a male and we've got a female. Okay. Now the information, the sex cells, the job of the sex cells is solely to bring the genetic information together. It brings the genetic information from the mum and genetic information from the dad, female, male. And we're not just talking about the individual, we're also talking about all the information all the way back to the beginning of time. Okay? It's all stored in that DNA. So what happens is those sex cells, that sperm and the egg, they're going to come together. Okay? When they come together, what's going to happen is you're going to get a mixture of all this information. Now, the first thing is, you have no idea, firstly, who your partner's going to be. Okay? So, out of all the men in the world, the female's got a pick. So she has no idea, really, as to who it's going to be. Now, the genetic information is stored in the male sperm. The male and the female have no idea what egg is going to be released or what sperm is going to fuse with the egg. There's a probability that we can work out as to what's likely to happen with the child, with new offspring, but we don't know. Okay? So, we've got this female sex cell, this male sex cell. Their job is to come together and share that genetic information. Now, the sex cells are called gametes. Okay, so when these gametes come together, we are going to have the same complement, hopefully, of genetic information. Remember I said that human beings got 23 chromosomes? Well, the female egg is going to have 23 chromosomes. The male egg is going to have the male sperm is going to have 23 chromosomes. When they come together, they produce 46 chromosomes, 23 pairs. Because remember, each chromosome is going to have a partner chromosome. That partner chromosome, basically, each gene will code for the same type of trait. So when you get the two specific chromosomes that come together, the top may be eye colour, hair colour, skin colour, shape of the nose. Okay? What's stored inside those genes? We don't know. Okay? It will come from the hereditary traits which are in the ancestry. Okay. So what we then get is this mishmash of genetic information. Now that's really, really useful because we're going to get things which are going to slightly change. Well, changes here on the planet Earth is really, really important. We call it mutation, and it's one of the main reasons behind scientists believing that evolution occurred by mutations being exploited as the environment changes. So, a lot to take in, eh? Basically what I want you to understand is that the gametes have half the number of chromosomes of the normal cells. That's really, really important, so that when they come together, they form a full complement. Now, if you've got a full complement of chromosomes, you're called diploid. Diploid, two, pairs, sort of makes sense. If you're a gamete, you've only got half the number. So as a result, you're haploid. Haploid, half, that's the way I always try and remember it. So, let's run through how all of the chromosomes sort of come together, how many we've got, so that we can understand exactly what's going on. Now, in this case, what we're looking at is a flow chart which will show you all the numbers of chromosomes as we go through the process of reproduction. So we've got the ovum or the egg, 23 chromosomes, 23 single chromosomes. Okay? Just like I showed you on the previous activity, if you remember the karyotype, which was that black and white little sets of chromosomes, those are the chromosomes which we're talking about. Okay, it's just a single strand of these chromosomes and there's 1, 2, 3, all the way through to 23. Okay? The sperm has exactly the same. Same size number 1, same size number 2, same size number 3. Okay? If you'd like to use my analogy of the encyclopedias, like the Britannica, okay, chromosome 1 is volume 1, chromosome 2, volume 2, chromosome 3, volume 3. You get the idea, all the way through to 23. Some are really, really fat, some are really, really thin, depending on what's inside them. Some have thousands of genes, some only have a few genes. So that's what we've got. So the ovum and the sperm come together. And at that point, we get fertilization. At fertilization, we produce the zygote. Now, the zygote basically has 46 chromosomes because you've got 23 coming from the female nucleus, 23 coming from the male nucleus. They come together, 23 plus 23 makes 46. 46 can be split to 23 pairs. And this is where we get that sharing. Okay? The zygote then it undergoes a process of cellular division to start forming the new individual. Now, that new individual, for the first few weeks, basically is called the embryo. That embryo will then develop into a fetus, but all the cells will have 46 chromosomes. So eventually we get a human being which is born with 46 chromosomes, or 23 pairs. Now, what I hear you asking is, what's this got to do with mitosis and meiosis? Well, mitosis and meiosis is the process which basically will produce the different numbers of chromosomes. Meiosis is used at the beginning in the production of the gametes, which are haploid in number. So we must always have in the sex organs, ovaries or the testes, we must always have meiosis going on. In the rest of the body, the rest of the organism, we're going to have mitosis, because mitosis codes for a full complement. Okay, so I hope that sort of explains exactly what's going on. So let's look at those individual processes. Now, in all of these at year 10, in this level, we're not going to need to know any of the names which you pick up for the various stages. That will happen later on in your senior biology. But basically, as I said, is mitosis is cellular division, which basically produces identical nuclei. So it will happen in all new cells, and it's necessary for growth and repair, or as we've got here, replacement of dead cells. So when you take your hair, for example, the end of your hair is dead, but right down at the follicle it's living. So it's undergoing mitosis, and that's how your hair gets longer, because it puts more cells on. And as time goes on, the hair dies, but you're continually growing new hair. So the result is you're getting new cells. So how's it work? Well, it's very, very straightforward. What happens is the cell starts with its normal number of chromosomes. Okay? Now the chromosomes will shorten and they'll be surrounded by a nuclear membrane. The nuclear membrane protects it so it doesn't lose any of the information. What then happens is that pair is then going to split. Now you'll notice here that I've got two different colours. Now, the two different colours are for the male and the female. And the reason why they're different colours is they will carry different information inside their genes. Remember, the genes are the same, okay? The position of the genes is the same, the coding for the genes is the same, but the actual information that they carry is different. So you can see here the red line is the same length as the blue line. That means that the red line's the female, the blue line's the male. The yellow line is the same length as the green line, which means the yellow one is the female and the green one is the male. They're just different types of the same chromosome. Okay, so basically what then happens is each of the chromosomes will then duplicate, they'll replicate. Okay, so you can see here that the red has replicated and it forms this cross. The blue has replicated, forms the cross. The cross is made up of two actual chromosomes. Okay, so we've got a duplicate of the same type. All right, so you can see now we've gone from 4 chromosomes in the top one to 8 chromosomes in the bottom one. All right, so remember we're going to split the cell, and Each cell is going to have identical bits of information. We can't split it in two because then the chromosome gets smaller. So what then happens is that the pairs begin to line up along the center of the cell. Okay? As they line up along the center of the cell, what will then happen is they will split apart. And as they split apart, one red will go over to one side, the other red will go to the other side. One blue will go to one side, another blue will come to the other side. One yellow will go to one side, another yellow will go to the other side. And they're actually pulled apart by tiny little fibers. And again, you'll study this in senior biology, but they're pulled apart by tiny little fibers, which breaks the X down the middle, pulls the two chromosomes to one side. So now you've got each of the two sets of chromosomes compartmentalized in two ends of the cell. Now notice that on the left-hand side, I've got a red, a blue, a yellow, and a green. On the right-hand side, I've got a red, a blue, a yellow, and a green. They're the same sizes, so that hasn't changed, and we've got the same number as what we started with. So, what then happens as we move on, we then get nuclear membranes, as soon as that is formed, to come round the outside of the chromosomes. That now protects them. So that we've moved them to the side, we've got the same number as the parent, we've now got nuclear membrane around the outside, that protects it, and then from there what happens is we're now going to get cleavage. Cleavage basically is the cell will split in two. And as it splits into two, we now have two identical cells, identical to the parent. Notice we've got a red, a blue, a yellow, and a green in one cell, and a red and a blue, yellow and a green in the second cell. Same length, okay? Same red and blue, one from the female, one from the male. Same yellow and green, one from the female, one from the male. They're coding for the same genetic traits, and they've got the same information there. That's why when we talk about things like cloning and what have you, you can take any cell, take the DNA, there you are, you've got a full complement of all the chromosomes that you need to make that one individual. Okay, so what happens with meiosis? Well, actually meiosis is really, really funny because meiosis basically involves a situation where we only have, well, we actually have two mitotic divisions. Okay, mitosis occurs twice. So it only happens in the testes and the ovaries, or in the anther of a plant in the ovary. So basically what happens is, as you can see in the diagram, we get duplication, that's the second blob. Okay, once you get duplication, what happens is we've then got duplicates of each of the chromosomes, and what will then happen is they will be pulled to either side, and then what happens is we get a split. Those two X chromosomes will then be pulled again to either side, and we don't know which colours. You see, as we get down to the blob number 4 in that cell, you can see the big red X goes over to the left-hand side, the big blue X goes over to the right-hand side. We've got the little blue X going to the left-hand side, the little red X going to the right-hand side. So you don't know whether we're going to have blues at the top, red blue or blue red, and we don't know if we're going to get blue red, and in this case we've got in the fifth set of cells, basically we go red, blue, blue, red, but nothing's to say we couldn't have red, red, blue, blue, and then what happens then is that X then splits up again to produce single individual cells. Remember, we don't have the two long ones, duplicates, just like we had in the mitosis. We've only got one single long one, one single short one. Okay, so in mitosis we had two long ones, different colours, and two short ones, different colours. But in this case we've got one long one, one short one. And the reason for that is when you put the fertilised cell together, you're going to have one long one, one short one from the male, one long one, one short one from the female. When we put those together, we get two long ones, two short ones, which is exactly what we had in mitosis. Very difficult to sort of try and explain, but the more times you go over it, the easier it's going to be for you guys to understand the difference. The key to understanding mitosis and meiosis is mitosis, it's identical. Meiosis, you get half the number of cells, and as a result you can see the variety because you don't know how they're going to line up. Do they line up red-red? Do they line up blue-blue? Or do they line up red-blue, blue-red? And then you don't know which of those cells at the bottom is going to fertilise the egg, or be fertilised by a sperm or a pollen. So that's where your variety comes about. Okay, so I hope you found that useful. It's quite involved, but hopefully you can understand what I've talked about. Now I've put a little exercise there for you in the course, Activity 3B. So hopefully you can sit down and sort of ponder what we've gone on and hopefully explain what's happened. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I do hope you join me again, and we'll look at the next bit of biological sciences.